Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by the Family Forest Carbon Program, where we help family forest owners get paid to improve the health of their woods. Labor costs and availability continue to be problems for America's farmers and ranchers. Chad Smith has more.
Labor challenges are among some of the most difficult issues facing farmers and ranchers, especially for those who utilize the H-2A program. John Walt Boatwright, Director of Government Affairs for the American Farm Bureau Federation, explains how the program works.
The H-2A program is the temporary and seasonal guest worker program that many farms and ranches are increasingly relying on for their farm labor needs. It's set by USDA's Farm Labor Survey, which is updated annually.
The Labor Department then uses the USDA survey data to calculate the adverse effect wage rate. However, recent increases in the rate have been difficult for farmers and ranchers to sustain.
It's outpaced inflation 8 of the past 10 years. It's highly unpredictable from year to year. We've seen increases as high as 23% from one year to the next, which is just simply unsustainable given the challenges that we see and the predictability that farmers and ranchers need to be able to make ends meet.
Boatwright says that while 2026 rates haven't been calculated yet, all signs point to another increase in the rate when labor costs are already high. Chad Smith, Washington.
The European Union won a pause from President Trump's threatened 50% tariffs. However, Reuters said it is not certain yet how the EU will push for a beneficial trade deal while Washington pushes for steeper EU concessions. After a conference call with the EU Commission President, President Trump restored the July 9th deadline to allow talks between the U.S. and the 27 member nations to produce a trade agreement. The EU Commission, which oversees the trade policy for the bloc, said the call from Trump added new motivation to the negotiations that the two presidents agreed to put on a fast track. The EU wants a deal beneficial to both sides that could include moving to zero tariffs on industrial goods and the EU buying more U.S. soybeans. What is the condition of this year's domestic corn crop per USDA's latest crop progress reports?
USDA's first look at the nation's corn crop condition per the last May crop progress report for the year. Per USDA meteorologist Brad Rippey.
Early reports are optimistic. We've had a good planting season until now, and we've had a lot of warmth until recently, and that has put this crop in a state where we are at 68% good to excellent, just 5% very poor to poor.
Rainy conditions of the past week put a damper on what has been above average planting and emergence progress for the U.S. corn crop. Rippey adds there is not year-over-year comparison for corn condition as
this year's crop coming out and emerging a little quicker than the previous year.
Only a handful of states report very poor to poor corn crop condition in double digits.
I think with a little warmer, drier weather, things should end up looking pretty good. A lot of those issues are more related to cool, wet weather than anything else at this early stage in the game.
I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
U.S. commercial beekeepers discovered their colonies of honeybees in near or total collapse earlier this year. There wasn't a clear explanation for what the industry is calling the worst bee die-off in U.S. history, and over half the nation's managed honeybee colonies appear to have experienced a mass die-off. Those losses, combined with honeybee die-off events at other times of the year, mean many beekeepers have seen 70 to even 100% of their colonies collapse during the past 12 months. The markets, they're next.
Here's the scoop. Soybeans are fueling Ohio's dairy farms, one glass of milk at a time. Nationwide, dairy farms use the equivalent of 229 million bushels of soybeans every year. Plus, high oleic soybeans boost milk fat and yield, making farms more profitable. From the fields to your fridge, soybeans power the farms that feed families. Brought to you by Ohio soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Many drugs, like cocaine, methamphetamine, and non-prescription pills, are often cut with dangerous opioids like fentanyl. As a result, nearly 14 Ohioans die daily from unintentional overdoses. That's why it's important to carry naloxone, such as Narcan, a life-saving medication that blocks the effects of fentanyl and other opioids. Over the last 5 years, naloxone has saved over 83,000 lives. Help save lives and visit naloxone.ohio.gov to learn more and find free naloxone. Remember, if you see an overdose occurring, always call 911.
The market's brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. At the Board of Trade, July corn 451 down 8.5. December corn 443.5 down 3. July beans 1048.5 down 14 cents. November beans 1037.5 down 13.25. July wheat 530.25 up 1 3/4. At the Mercantile Exchange, June cattle $213.92 down $1.20. June hogs $100.27 up $1.17. September feeder cattle $294.47 down $2.77. This is the Ohio AgNet.